Welcome to the show, guys. We are here to save you from yourself. We got 7 more players for you to avoid this year. Do not draft. And on the show, we got the great, the powerful Gwen. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Excited to tell everyone about these guys so they make sure they avoid them, save them so they can win their leagues.
Gwen wants to save you guys. She wants to save. The only person she doesn't seem to want to save is Connor. She always wants to put him on the grill. Now, if you guys are new to this show, Connor is the sheep. He's the sheep we have on the show. Yes, he is real livestock. Some people call him a puppet. I think he's real. I want to tell you in advance that Connor will not be in attendance today, Gwen. Are you a little bit sad about this?
I'm not sad whatsoever about that.
Don't you even care to know the reason why he's not going to be here today?
No, maybe he's saving me from dealing with him today. So
We'll actually tell you because we did a show. If you guys haven't checked it out, we did a show a day or two ago on all of us here, right? We did Big Bad Breakouts. All of us were there. He wore a suit and tie, and Jim was on and Tim, and he dressed up for you guys, and you guys weren't nice to him, so he's still he's a little sad, so he won't be attending today's show. All right, so I'm excited to dive into this, Gwen. Before we do, grab the 16-round draft solution, secure the solution, secure the championship, sleepers, breakouts, optimal players drafted in each round. Everything you need to crush your leagues. Use code SMASH, 16-round draft solution. We've linked it below, or head on over to thefantasyfootballcounselor.com and get the solution. Secure the solution, secure the championship, use code SMASH. All right, Gwen, we got 7 players to avoid. Now, we've done tons of shows on this. Well, I have anyway, myself even. And we've talked about guys I'm avoiding in round 1, like Austin Eckler coming off a pinnacle year, less checkdowns, new offensive coordinator, Justin Herbert throwing more, the addition of Quentin Johnson, and many reasons for guys like Eckler we're avoiding and Christian McCaffrey, who you like and I don't like. I think he's due for an injury, last hurrah. There's tons of players that I've mentioned. And honestly, Gwen, there's a ton of players to avoid that I wouldn't even draft, like Tyler Boyd's of the world, wide receiver 3s on the team. We aim high on the depth chart. That's what we teach here. And we preach, aim high on the depth chart, get those volume getters. But we've got 7 names here that we haven't talked about as much, and we're going to deep dive into why we're going to be avoiding them. I think, Gwen, are we in agreement on all of 70 of these players to start? I think, or is there a couple we're going to debate that when you looked at the list?
when I looked at the list, I think I agree with you on mostly all of them. I think there's just one that I was kind of on the fence on. So
all right, we'll battle. We'll battle on that one. All right, let's start off with the first one here. Let's cue it up here. Magical Twinkle. Absolutely nothing magical about this guy. And the first guy I'm talking about is Mike Williams. Are you going to be drafting him this year? What are your thoughts on him? And I'm going to rip into this guy because I do not like him at all. What are your thoughts on Mike?
yeah, I would agree with you on this one. Mike Williams, I think he's most likely a third option on the team now. He's a vertical threat, but he's not much more than that, which is why I've never drafted him personally.
Right.
The Chargers drafted his replacement, obviously, in Quentin Johnston, who you and I both believe can do a lot more. And as I've mentioned before, he's averaging less than 900 yards a year as a starter. I think he'll continue to be on my do not draft list. So I don't like him.
Now, here's the deal that's really upsetting me right now, okay? Well, not really upsetting me. It's actually good for me and you and people that are aware. But Mike Williams is coming off Quentin Johnson in fantasy drafts, and so is Keenan Allen round 3. Now, Keenan Allen is slated as the wide receiver 1. I'm not sold on him. The guy's 31. Mike Williams is older as well. Can't stay healthy. Now, the only reason Mike Williams is even relevant is because he has these big catches, makes the highlight reels, and people are like, ooh, wow, that's an amazing reel. They get off like Chris, like the Deshaun Watson, they get off. Oh, what a catch. Oh, I'm so excited. Mike Williams had 1 catch in 5 games, and then he's hurt again. Listen, I'm not sold. They drafted Quentin Johnson in round 1 for a reason. Now, the only knock to Quentin Johnson is that he's kind of like this body cat. You're a wide receiver, right? And isn't there is it the same thing with like flag football as well, where you're is it like a bad thing to be known as a body catcher? Like when you catch the ball to the body, is that kind of a bad thing?
Yeah, it is. And that's something actually I had to work on because when I first started playing flag, just kind of in rec leagues, I would catch with my body. It wasn't until I started playing travel flag football where people had to correct me. You really definitely need to catch with your hands. It is important in both flag and in regular football for sure.
Well, that's a knock to him right now, but I was watching, and then you're a wide receiver. You could probably agree with me on this one, and maybe you see something that I did. So I watched tape on Quentin Johnson. I actually observed this, and as he was, he was running down the field, he was coming back it's like slowing down to come back and catch the ball, and then kind of scooping it into his body. I watched a lot of those catches. I really think this is going to go away now that he's in the NFL, not only from a level of mindset where he's got to improve it and make some real catches, not that body catches aren't real, but I think with Justin Herbert throwing downfield, he's going to reach out more. I mean, underthrowing a receiver is tough, right? To slow down and catch those balls, right?
Yeah, having to slow down and come back, that's partly the quarterback's fault as well. They should be leading
Yeah.
you, so you should be able to catch with your hands. You shouldn't have to turn around and go backwards. So it's a chemistry thing
And I think that was the
also.
problem in college. So he was being underthrown a lot when I watched some of those highlight reels. But either way, I think Quinton's the real deal. Mike Williams, years to wow, we're not wow, doesn't stay healthy. And do not invest in this guy. He's old, he's washed, he can't stay healthy. Go for the young talent. Not only is there more upside with Quinton Johnston, in actuality, if that's even a word, actuality, you get this guy way later, Quinton Johnston. So I'm not investing in Mike Williams. Do not draft him or Keenan Allen. Stash Quinton Johnston later. He's on all my leagues, whether do, die, or bust. I'm not investing a lot on Quinton Johnston. I'm just getting him. So Mike Williams, do not draft, player to avoid. All right, moving on to the next one here. Let's go on to a guy that I told you to avoid last year. And everybody was high on him last year, top 8 running back in PPR. I said, years to wow us, we're not wow. Do not draft, stay away. Lions know something because they got rid of him. They dumped him off. They don't need him. They drafted Jahmyr Gibbs because they know they want the upside. They wanted that great pass-catching running back. Swift is not the answer. Can't stay healthy. Do not draft. He's on a new offense, an offense you might be familiar with, Gwen. What do you think of DeAndre Swift this year? Do you think he's going to get volume? Do you think he's going to actually boom and do what the Chiefs just thought he was going to do last year? Or is he a guy you're avoiding?
So yeah, as an Eagles fan, I know better than most people that Eagles love to deploy a strong committee at the running back position.
For sure.
Swift is definitely an elite weapon when he's healthy. He's very effective, but he hasn't been healthy. And when he's healthy, I think he's going to see much lower touches per game than he did in Detroit. So he's definitely on my do not draft list, even though I'm an Eagles fan. So
Yeah.
not
Years,
drafting him.
Gwen, once we get more into the groove here and we start, maybe we'll finish each other's sentences. But years to wow us, Gwen, and
We're not wild.
we're not wowed. Yeah, I think, do you like that saying? Is that a saying that you're
I actually am on board with that saying. I'm not on board with Connor or some other things, but I like the years to wow me, and we're
We'll
not
take it.
wowed.
At least we're impressing you one way or another. In the comments, let us know what you guys think of the saying, what you think of Gwen, what you think of Connor. We love to get your feedback and make this interactive, guys. Drop the comments below. Let us know. Are you drafting these guys? Gwen, do you want to know? Are you curious if the listeners want to draft? Be honest.
If they want to draft Swift,
Yeah, because he's
yeah,
he's an
I'd
Eagles.
like to know. I'd like to know if they want to draft him or not for sure. I don't personally, and I'm an Eagles fan, so it'd be interesting to hear what they have to say.
Maybe all these guys. We want to know if they want to draft all these guys. We're curious on their thoughts.
Yes.
I'll get some feedback. All right, the next guy here. Speaking of years to wow us, we're not wowed. And most of these guys are years to wow us, we're not wowed. And again, I haven't really talked about this guy too much in the offseason because there isn't much to talk about. Coming into this league this year, and he's saying he's got a chip on his shoulder. Michael Thomas. What are your thoughts on Michael Thomas? I heard
Yeah,
someone at the door there. Someone at your door. Is that Michael Thomas at the door?
yeah, I think it might be my maintenance people at my door, so disregard that. But Michael Thomas is just one of those guys like Josh Gordon where people keep drafting him over and over again and they're expecting something different.
Yeah.
He's just getting drafted on his name alone, and he hasn't really done anything since 2019, and it's 2023. So I think that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. And I think drafting Thomas after 3 years of absolutely nothing is insanity. Yeah, he sucks.
He sucks. He absolutely sucks, but he is coming into the league this year with a chip on his shoulder, saying he's going to crush it this year. Now, when I actually heard the knock on the door, I thought it was actually him on the door knocking, saying he's actually upset about being on this list. But Michael Thomas going to be avoiding him. And there is some news here with our next player. Let's break out the news here. I mean, he's always making the news for the wrong reasons. Our next guy here is Odell Beckham Jr. And we were just reading here in the news. He's saying Baltimore Ravens Odell Beckham Jr. undisclosed escaped practice without an injury. So sounds like something happened where there might have been an injury, but he came unscathed. Like this guy is already hurt, and we haven't even started the season. Odell Beckham, are you a little concerned? First of all, I'm not drafting him. Do not draft. We're warning you. But what do you think of Odell?
Yeah, I mean, he missed all of last year due to tearing his ACL in the Super Bowl, and I think he's getting way overpaid as a tribute to Lamar to get him to stay with the Ravens. And I think the real tribute is going to be Zay Flowers, who looks like he's very worth the first round pick that the Ravens spent on him. And it does look like the two starting wide receivers will be those guys with Bateman as a third fiddle. I just how long can OBJ stay healthy at his age and coming off a major injury? I don't know. I'm not going to draft him. So,
Yeah, I mean, when you see all these red flags, you got the red flag of injuries in the past. You have this little scare here in training camp already talking about a potential injury undisclosed, but he turns out to be fine. Then you got a quarterback, Lamar Jackson, who hasn't finished the past 2 seasons, played 12 games in both those seasons, and he doesn't throw for a lot of yards. Large the addition of Zay Flowers as well. I'm avoiding it. Sounds like you got a whole drilling team over there.
yeah, I don't know what is going on outside my
It's
my
okay. We'll
work.
we'll we'll keep rolling. If you guys are in the car, it probably doesn't sound as bad as the road work that's going on beside you in the car anyway. So we'll keep it going. Sounds like Odell's out there drilling his his next injury. I'm feeling
Yeah,
my knee. I got a plate in my knee here. So it's fitting with the show when we're talking injuries. So thanks to the maintenance people outside. All right, let's keep going here. The next one on the list here is Alvin Kamara. And what are your thoughts on Alvin Kamara? I'll tell you why I'm avoiding him, but I wanna hear your thought. You know why I'm avoiding him. We had a debate on this on what he did. What's your thoughts on Alvin Kamara here?
I mean, personally, I don't think he's a good guy, but in classic NFL fashion, they only gave him a 3-game suspension. Kamara, as I've mentioned before, has never rushed for over 1,000 yards. But he does most of his damage in the passing game, and Carr loves to drive the ball down the field. Jamal Williams being there eats into Kamara's rushing touches even more. I'm going to say no thanks, and I'll pass on Kamara this year for on and off the field for sure.
What I saw off the field was ridiculous. The assault, how they trampled on this guy, him and his friends. Now, maybe the guy that was at the hotel or the strip club or wherever they were, maybe he did say something to really trigger Alvin Kamara and make him do what he did. But either way, you got to control yourself. You're a top athlete. You're $1 million man. You got to control yourself. So we had this debate. Like, I think he had a slap on the wrist, $100,000 or something like that for medical bills, community
Right.
service, and 3-game suspension. Only community service. What are your thoughts on this? Do you think they went too light on him? I think they should have threw the book at him, jail time, and banned from the NFL. What are your thoughts on this? Do you think Kamara should have got worse?
Yeah, I mean, I think he should have gotten worse, but compared to what other people in the NFL have done and gotten away with,
Right.
and this is not as bad in comparison. But yeah, I think overall the NFL just needs to treat all of these types of situations a little bit more. They need to enforce them more and make the
Serious.
punish. Put they make yeah they need to make the punishments more serious. So I yeah.
Yeah, more punishment either way. But yeah, Alvin Kamara got away with a slap on the wrist. All right. Yeah, I'm avoiding him just on personality, character. Not to mention, they drafted a chain there. Is it Devin a chain or Miller? Was it Condre Miller? I'm completely staying away from this offense and this running back committee. Completely staying
Yeah.
away. All right, let's keep going here. Again, I'm staying away from Dolphins running backs. When I mentioned Miller and a chain, I'm staying away from Saints running backs. It's just too much of a committee and uncertainty at those positions, and they're flirting with veteran running backs. It's just a disaster. All right, let's move on here. The next one here, Kyler Murray. I mean, it goes without saying the guy's getting over a knee injury. What are your thoughts on Kyler Murray?
I think he'd rather be playing Call of Duty than playing football. He usually starts seasons hot and then ends them horribly, and that really doesn't bode well for him if he misses the start of the season. So I'm seeing he's targeting a week 1 start, which is super aggressive as an ACL tear. That's an aggressive timetable. I don't really like when guys rush back, and I also don't like how Gannon I don't like Gannon after how the Eagles ended the season last year. So I'm fading the Cardinals big time this year.
Again, I've had personal encounters with these guys. Odell Beckham Jr. has blocked me, Alvin Kamara has blocked me, and Kyler Murray blocked me. And I remember when Kyler Murray blocked me, it was like, I think it was his rookie year. He said like F yo fantasy teams or something like that to people that were complaining that he underperformed a certain game. So I said basically F you. I didn't say F you, I said screw you, something like that along that line, and then he blocks me. The guy puts himself out. He's susceptible to injury a lot. The way he runs, man, the short madman running like a crazy person out there. He was
Yeah.
bound to get injured, man. And he did. So I don't trust him. Don't trust the offense. Don't trust the wide receivers there. Don't trust anything that has to do with the Cardinals this year. I'm fading. Don't care about the running back. This is a team I'm entirely fading. Do not draft Kyler Murray. There are safer options to draft at the quarterback position, right? And the final person here, we got a guy that I'm not drafting because I'm all in on Jahmyr Gibbs. And if the Lions actually believed in him, they wouldn't have even acquired Jahmyr Gibbs in round one, I may add, is David Montgomery. Years to wow us, Gwen. We're not wowed. Your thoughts on David Montgomery? Are you going to be drafting and acquiring him this season?
So draft, like you said about Gibbs, drafting Gibbs in the first round has really just tanked his Montgomery's draft stock. The team is obviously excited about getting Gibbs, and they plan to design a lot of the offense around him and St. Brown. I think they will, however, still run the ball quite a bit with Dan Campbell. I just don't know if I can say do not draft this guy. I would say do not draft him high. If he falls enough, I think he might be worth a middle late round flyer with the hope that most of the rushing touches and vulture touchdowns are his. So we'll see.
That Well, that's the thing. So everybody buys recency bias because of Williams last year and his amazing amount. What do you have, like 100 touchdowns last year? The thing is, everyone's looking at that and saying, "Well, David Montgomery is going to do that, and that's the role he's taking, and that's very viable. It's very possible that could happen, but very unlikely, right? Because what happens last year doesn't happen this year. Montgomery's not Williams, and Gibbs is not Swift. So now you got Gibbs, who's better than Swift. Swift was pretty much banged up last year, didn't wow us. Now you got Gibbs coming in, who could perform really well, and talent rises to the top. So I don't think Montgomery's going to get anywhere near the volume that Williams did around that goal line last year. I think Gibbs is going to be used more than you think he will be. So that's my prediction on this, but for that reason, I'm staying away from Montgomery. Do not draft. Invest in Gibbs in round 3 if you want the running back in Detroit, right? The Lions believe in him.
Yeah.
So that wraps it up. There's no Connor today, Gwen. How do you feel? Do you feel like there's like a void in your heart? Kind of like, I missed something today. I kind of missed that fluffy white face of Connor. Like, how do you feel?
I feel amazing. This is the best I've ever felt without Connor on the show. It's amazing.
I'm sure the Connor haters are in the same boat. I think somebody came out and said like, oh, this Connor stuff is juvenile and you need to get rid of Connor and ditch the puppet. Like, but then there's some people like, go Connor, go Connor. So we got a mixed bag here. So this show, for all your Connor haters, he's upset. He's in the room crying. You guys should have some empathy for him. We should play the Connor song. There's actually a Connor empathy song. Have you heard it, Gwen?
The Concheeps. Oh no.
This is our Connor sad song. So yes, he's sad today. So in memory of Connor. All right,
Poor
guys.
Connor.
Do not draft. That's what we want to tell you. Do not stay away from these guys. Odell Beckham, all these guys, years to wow us, we're not wowed. Draft other people. Aim high on the depth charts, guys. Grab 16-round draft solution. We've linked it below. Use code SMASH. And Gwen, thank you for being here. We appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, they can just send this list to their friends and tell them to draft him.
I realized we kind of matched the Dolphins.
Dolphins.
You're sure? I didn't even realize that going into the show. We didn't call each other before the show.
No, we didn't. We didn't coordinate it. We just happened to match.
Yes. All right. We'll talk soon, guys. Do not draft players to avoid. We're out. Talk soon.
Bye, guys.